Hi, welcome to another episode of Entre Culturas. In this episode, we'll be talking to Pareena. She was born and raised in the Philippines, so she's Filipino. We'll talk about how it was culturally studying in a Catholic school and then coming home to an Indian-rooted household. In all of that culture clash that she's experienced and how it was growing up trying to find her identity. She'll also share her story on how she ended moving to Panama and a few other subjects about motherhood that I think will be really, really insightful and important for us to hear. But I won't spoil anything in this intro. I'm gonna let her share her stories, and I hope you follow, subscribe, comment, send us any questions that you have, and hope you enjoy this episode. Hey, welcome to Entre Culturas. I'm here with Pareena. Pareena.
It doesn't matter. It's been messed up so many times.
Same. One of the episodes I said I think I was talking to my sister and we were talking about our Latin names that we use when we order food. And she was like, "You can be Jacqueline," and I'm like, "No." And people started commenting like, "Hey, Jacqueline." And
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
"Can you just please not?"
That's one of the things that's really sacred to me. My name.
Yeah.
So like I'm jumping the gun here, by talking about this. But anyway, like when I was a little kid, like my mom would, like you know about the name change when you get married and everything. Like it has to match the initial of your husband's name.
Does it?
Yeah, it's like the moon and the stars.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Sorry. I got too excited about that. Wow, facts.
Are you happy about that or?
I'm surprised. This is like news. I didn't know it had to match.
Yeah, it had to match.
It has to?
Like they
mandatory?
They check the I mean, if for example yours does match with his initial, then you can keep your name, or if you want to change it, you can change it. But yeah, like they do check the placement of the stars and stuff, and then based on that they give you a couple of initials, and then you choose a name on those initials.
That's so cool. I didn't know that. Thank you for every day you learn something new.
Yeah. So when I was a little kid,
But you didn't.
No, I didn't. Because
change your name.
That's the funny thing. Like when I was a kid, I would always tell my mom, like, okay, so what are the initials that that I have to look for so that I don't have to change my name, And she'd be like, she gave me like I don't remember right now, and one of them was an H, and I'm like, I'm only gonna limit my search to this.
Wow, I'm only going to look for men with an H in their name, and that's it. Wow, that's like really like
Visualization.
Yes, you go, girl. That worked out.
Totally. Visualization, it works.
Let me start. Okay, so you're Cindy.
I am.
But you're Filipino.
I am. And then I'm a citizen of Panama as
And
well.
you're a
resident of
Wow.
Panama. Yeah. So I was born and raised in the Philippines. So yeah, my passport is a Filipino passport. And then when you look in nationality, it says Indian. And then I have my cedula, which is Panamanian. So that's like a whole mix.
It's a cocktail.
Yeah, it's a whole mix. But, don't regret anything.
Yeah.
Love where I've come from.
You were born and raised in the Philippines.
Yes. My parents are Indian.
Both fully Indian.
Yeah,
like
my
lineage.
dad was born in the Philippines though also.
Okay.
And my mom was born and raised in Jakarta.
Okay.
And then, arranged marriage, so she moved to the Philippines and then me. But yeah, so it was living in the Philippines, had its ups and downs, I would say. The first 7 to 8 years of my life, we all lived, the Indians have like this big family concept, so we all lived under the same roof. And it was
I've never, because I was born, when you mentioned that, I was brought up in Panama, and we never had that. Like, it's a foreign concept for me to have all my cousins live under one roof.
Yeah,
it would be so weird.
No, it was awesome. It was like, I think it was like having like a sleepover every single day.
That sounds like fun, actually.
It was so fun, you know, and like you have like your instant group of friends kind
Yeah.
of thing. I was like, I still am. I'm very close to one of my cousins, and you know, like that bond. It goes beyond being cousins. Like I see him as my brother, so you know, until today we're super super close, and it's because of that experience that we had together, you know, growing up and facing so many things together. And it has its pros and cons because while it was super fun, it was kind of like living in a snow globe, you know, where everything's pretty and comfortable and everything inside that snow
And
globe.
then you go out and it's like,
And but yeah, and like
Life
it's a whole different world outside kind of thing. So while I was born and raised, you know, in the Philippines, it wasn't until very much later that I was really kind of like immersed in the culture of the Philippines. Because at the beginning, it was more like, you know, we'd have our Indian food.
Yeah.
My whatever was cooked in the house was basically Indian because that's what, you know, would be eaten, or you're Italian, or you're like your regular food or whatever. There was not, maybe there were bits and like little dishes here and there of Filipinos, but like very, very little. And then the language we spoke was basically English. We didn't really watch many movies. If we did watch, it was maybe, okay, like if my helpers, you know, our helpers were watching something, okay, we'd be able to like watch something with them or something like that. But
like
it wasn't
Filipino, like local
yeah,
Filipino
like local
content.
Yeah,
That
local
wasn't,
content, like music and everything. It wasn't.
it was limited at
Yeah,
home.
it was very much limited at the beginning. So like I said, it was like living in a bubble where it was very comfortable, it was very, you know, nice, you know, and everything, but there was a whole world going on around me that I had no clue about. And so
Did you ever get to explore that part of, do you speak Tagalog?
I do, yeah. I did get to explore it, but it was much later on. So like I grew up in, the first school I went to was a Montessori school.
What's a Montessori
It's a
school?
method. It's a method that the way they teach. They call it the Montessori method.
Okay.
So it was a co-ed school, and so I was there till I was 10, I think. The only thing I remember, because I mean, that was so many years ago, the only thing I remember from back then was there was a couple times that if there was like mass that was celebrated or something, I remember being left in the classroom while everyone else went to attend the mass. Yeah.
Because you were not Catholic.
Yeah.
And so they wouldn't even
No, yeah.
allow you to see? Like sit down and see? Or
I don't remember so much, honestly. But like, I remember that part, that I would be in the classroom and then I would, you know, they would make me do calligraphy or whatever, like, you know, like
just to like spend the time.
activity sheets and stuff while everyone else went.
Were you the only one?
Yes.
So you were all by yourself? Mm-hmm. Just like writing down on your notebook while
Then,
the rest of the kids were in mass.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't remember taking any classes that early, like about, you know, although because the Philippines is like, I think 80% or a big percent, like maybe 80-90% Christian, and so part of the curriculum of almost every school is Christianity. I don't remember taking the classes from very early on.
Okay.
I feel I don't want to be like for sure because I was really really young, but I feel like my Christian education came much later. My mom moved me to an all-girls school when I was like almost 11.
All girls.
All girls, yeah. So that was like very different for me, and that's when I had to take up I had to learn Christian living. I was more immersed in that culture.
Wow.
You know, so
How did that feel? I mean, because like I'm thinking me as a kid, and relating back to when I was in Arab school and how everybody around me was Arab, Muslim. And it's like we had to say the prayer in the mornings in Arab, or we had to greet the teacher in Arab.
Oh wow, I didn't know
And
that.
so having that, it's like, okay, so, and then coming back home, and it's like, okay, so I'm Indian, or like, why am I speaking in Arab? in Arabic?
Yeah, I had, so, because you're like preteens where you're already kind of like questioning stuff, right? And you're trying to figure out your place in the world and your identity. So you already have that internal struggle. And as a teen or preteen, you don't really want to stand out. Like, you want to fit in. You don't want to be
Yeah.
the weird one. You don't want to be the different one.
Yeah, that's too much stress.
Yeah. So when I started to learn more about Christianity, it made things very, in my head, like very easy. Like, oh, if I were to convert, like I would be like everyone else. You know, if I were to, Christianity is in English, I can understand what they're saying or what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Whereas here, I'm, on the other end, I'm chanting stuff which I don't understand. Although I was taking classes on Saturdays where they would explain. I had very good teachers that would explain everything, but that rebellious side of you, like was like full force hormones and this, like, So
Did you really consider converting?
I did. When I was in high school, it just felt like I was very frustrated. I couldn't connect with other Indians because I lived. It was kind of like I lived. The Philippines is like Manila is very big. Manila is the capital of the Philippines, and so it was kind of like living like you have Colon, Panama. So all the Indians, like, or majority of the Indians, the Sindhis, lived in one area. For example, like Colon, where it was like a very dense population there, and then other Sindhis like lived in other cities. Like so, for example, where Panama, like you have Sindhis here, but they were like kind of like far apart from each other. So, for example, in the schools I went to, yeah, like I was the only Sindhi in my entire batch.
Okay.
In
your town where you guys like
No, in my
limited?
town there were a couple, but see, because there were different schools, there were different areas.
You guys spread up.
It was pretty spread out, Whereas in the other city, almost all the Sindhis went to one school. They all lived, in proximity to each other in the same gated, communities and stuff. So they did things together more often.
But you never, like, after school, you never got the chance to, like, relate with other Sindhi kids? Because that's the thing, like, right, like, I would finish school, Arab school,
Right.
kind of weird, and then go back home, and I'm, like, Indian, and then we would go to prayers or, like, any other event, and I would connect with, like, other Sindhi kids. So
Right.
it was kind of like a...
I did get to meet them. My mom and dad were like part of many groups, like social groups and stuff. So there were opportunities to meet, but it almost felt like I was living in a different reality from them. So I couldn't connect with them. I couldn't talk to them about, hey, I'm thinking of converting. Like that would be like, oh, what are you doing?
That would be
Yeah.
great. Yeah, here.
So, or like I'm having issues with this, or people are bullying me in school, So there were like many things that maybe at that age also I wasn't, ready to talk about or admit.
Who is?
So yeah.
At that
So
age.
it was very difficult.
Yeah.
So like when I would go out with them, it would feel very superficial because you would only talk about very superficial things, and you wouldn't really allow anyone into your world because you weren't sure if to open those doors or not, or if you can open those doors or not.
Yeah, that inner turmoil when you're growing up and figuring things out, and dealing with bullying, dealing with all these cultural clashes, kind of hard to open up to anybody.
Yeah.
Period. Let alone your friends or who you can consider your friends. I feel like we're all like managed to survive just like dealing on our own, and to those who had like I wonder if my childhood would be a bit different if I had a psychologist from the very beginning. Random question.
Yeah, sure.
What's like the stage your kid is at? Because I feel like do they get into like what's the specific stage? Because I feel like at that age, because he's like 13,
12. Yeah.
I feel like it's like video games.
Yeah.
And it's like, can I play?
Yeah.
And it's like too late.
Yeah, more video games. Now he's getting into basketball. So now it's like always with the bouncing the ball, like, you know.
Everywhere.
Now I understand my mom's frustration. Seriously.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
totally get my mom now. It's like- so he's figuring his way around as well. You know, he had an incident recently in school, a bullying incident. Someone asked him why is his, like, no, not, didn't ask him, they told him that his skin is black and burnt.
Wow.
Something like that, like, you know. And it was like a kid from first grade or something like that. So, but the school handled it so well.
That's
Yeah.
so important.
Yeah. So that's what I was telling when his teacher told me, like, and they were like super communicative and everything, and explaining like what steps they took and everything. I told his teacher, like, you know, it would have made such a big difference if I had a teacher like you growing up.
Wow.
You know, because
It would have, same.
there were many times where I hated being Indian. You know, I hated being different. I hated standing out. And there were times like, and I've had conversations with my friends after, like my high school friends after, and you know, where I told them, like, dude, you made me go through hell, man. Like, come on. Like, we're friends now, but I mean, that was tough.
Yeah.
You know, and there was this thing that they used to play, kind of like when, you know, in the States where like you have cooties kind of thing. So every time they would brush against me or touch anything that I touched, they would go and touch. It was like I had a disease or I was a disease. And then they would go and touch someone else and be like, oh, they called it puera balik, like you can't give it back to me or something like that. So, I mean, it was horrible.
Yeah.
It was really bad. Or like there was this one kid who was in my sister's batch, and every time I would pass her on the hall or something, she'd go like, oh, or do some silly thing like that. But now it's like silly, but when you're struggling, like, and you're with your identity and everything, and you're a teenager, like,
Yeah, it hits. It hits.
it hits, you know. So I didn't have that ability to open up to anyone about what was going on. So it was like a facade. Like I'd go out, I'd meet other Indians or I'd meet other people and just put up a facade that everything's awesome, everything is amazing and
Yeah.
stuff. And then inside you have this inner turmoil. And it's not so much that you're doubting your religion or anything like that, because I love being Hindu. You know, I think it's one of the most beautiful, you know, religions in the world. But my appreciation for the religion came much later in my life, because it was just easier to be anything but Indian or anything but Hindu
Yes.
growing up.
Yes. Same. Same. I feel exactly the same. Coming from like being being in that Arab environment in school. I think it was until 5th grade, and then after 5th grade, my parents decided to move us out to CIC, which had solid group of Indian friends, and so I was able to relate to a level, because then I'm also mixed, and so it's like,
Right.
so a part of me was able to relate and kind of manage, but I would still get bullied. I would still feel weird, and I wouldn't even be able to express that to anybody, not even my parents. And I was really close with my mom, but
Yeah.
I feel like because they were so busy, were so busy that I don't think they had the energy to like deal
Right.
or try to extract the information from me, because I wasn't like good at speaking or acknowledging my emotion and like verbalizing what I was feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's something I'm doing now.
Right.
And after graduating high school, it was like, no, I'm Indian, and it finally clicked.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to be anything else, and I'm not confused, and I don't want to practice anything else. I think I'm good being Hindu.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I actually appreciate this, and everything that I learned with my parents and the community. It was really helpful. You know,
Yeah.
it just builds you up, and I don't quite.
Right. No,
Yeah.
same thing. Like, I mean, as you get older, that's when you start, you know, realizing, and when you start creating like or making these friends that support you and give you that comfort, you know, that you can be you, and you can be that you will be accepted and everything. That's when things get, when you open up and you have that strength and confidence and courage to dig deeper and to find out more about what is it that makes you you.
Yeah.
And like for me,
What made you you?
I'm still figuring that out, dude.
Same.
40 and still have no
Shoot,
clue.
I don't think you ever stop.
No, and that's the beauty of it. I mean,
Is it beautiful? It's kind of like, come on
it's
already.
an ongoing process. I think it's beautiful.
I feel like a process has to have a time limit, and that's it. Like, I want to process
But
this.
what fun is there, man? Like if you end at one thing and that's it, and then where do you go from there? I like the evolution and the ever changing and the constant, you know.
I like it too, because I just wanted to I just want to be at my max level. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to
Like, get there already.
I want to get there and live at my max level. It would be a bit boring, but yeah.
As I got older, I developed, you know, maybe like in my 4th year of high school, I developed a very good, solid, you know, group of friends. One of them, like, she couldn't believe like how bad my Tagalog was, you know. So she's like, "Dude, you've been here for so many years. You're like raised, you know, born and raised in the Philippines, and you can't speak." You know? So she would sit with me like every like recess or lunchtime that we would have, like when we'd hang out together. Nobody's going to speak to you in English. Everyone's going to speak to you in Tagalog, and you have to respond in Tagalog. And that's how my Tagalog got better. And then
Nice.
I went to college, and you get a more solid understanding. You don't really figure it out completely, but a more solid understanding of where you want to go, what you want to be, and who, you know, where, you know, just what you want to be doing with your life. Yeah, the last few years, like before I moved to Panama, in college, I was part of the basketball team. That was really fun. It was, you know, eye-opening as well. So, like back then, I never really used to eat Filipino food. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, like they would take me to like, you're college kids. You don't have a lot of money and stuff like that. So we, you know,
Street food.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God, like the world just like opened up. You know.
So you were more exposed to Filipino culture,
like later on.
Later on.
Like the last few years, you know, before moving.
That's crazy, and you lived there.
Yeah, yeah. So I remember one time when I was in high school or grade school, I don't know. So the Philippines, they have a drink. I don't know if it's a drink or a dessert. Anyway, they serve it in a glass, and it's basically warmed soft tofu, and they put brown sugar syrup and tapioca pearls. It's so good.
Sounds
it's like
really
my
good.
favorite thing right now. And so every day there's a guy, he would have like a stick and 2 buckets, like silver buckets at the end of one on each side. So one would have the warm tofu, and the other side would have the syrup and the tapioca pearls. They call it taho. So you'd hear like taho, like the guy screaming, and all the kids are like running out, you know, to buy their cup. So I was so curious. I was so curious because I really wanted to know like what it was, like why everyone is running to this guy and what is this drink, you know? Mm-hmm. So one day I finally got the courage, you know, and I take my 10 peso bill out, and my sister's looking at me and she's like, "You're really gonna buy that crap?" You know? And I'm like, "Yeah, I wanna try." And she's like, "Mom's gonna kill you." And because they had like this, a lot of people were saying that the tofu is not actually tofu, or to increase the quantity of the tofu, they would add plaster of Paris into it.
Okay.
So my mom was like really against like street food and stuff, but more like a protective thing.
But it's like, Mom, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
I mean, she goes to India and she eats the bel puri and whatever from the street.
That's true. And the pani puri in the street, dude, that's like toxic. That's like another level of toxic for people that are not used to it.
Yeah. So I like mustered up all the courage and everything. And as I'm reaching out to the guy to give him my money, my mom like walks in.
No.
Pareena, what are you doing?
No.
Nothing. Like stuff the money back in my pocket. I'm like, no, just, you know, chill. Don't worry, nothing.
You know what? I kind of relate to that because I was born and raised in Colon, but I did not know anything about Colon's culture.
Really?
And I got to learn about that after I graduated high school, after I left Canada and came back. Mm-hmm. That's where I started like
So you never
adventuring.
ate like the typical Colon food
Because
and
we were
stuff?
vegetarian at home. And I
Oh,
was,
right.
goody two shoes here. So I just did everything that I did everything that I was told to do.
Right.
And so and then after, living in Canada, being like questioning everything, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna choose what makes me happy. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I came back and I'm like, I'm gonna eat everything. I'm gonna do
bring on the
everything.
South.
Yeah, and I'm gonna experiment everything, and I'm gonna venture off, and I'm gonna learn more about this culture.
Awesome.
And so I did. So it makes sense. I relate to that, and I feel like a lot of people relate to that because we're just like in this, like you mentioned, snow globe.
Right.
In our community, in our family, in our own family,
Yeah.
with our own like what to do and not to do, that
Yeah.
we miss out a little bit of like the beauty of what this country like can give us.
Right.
And Filipino food,
Oh man.
yo,
You've tried it?
yes.
Okay.
Not everything, but in Canada, I used to work as a front counter in a Jewish bakery, and I was an immigrant, and we had a bunch of immigrants with us, and
Right.
most of them were Filipino,
Oh, nice.
and they were my first friends. Like they're
they're
so
like the
friendly.
they're super
They're
friendly.
so welcoming.
Yeah.
And they invited me to a few like lunch and dinners at their home.
Oh, they're
And
super big on sharing food and everything.
sharing everything.
They
They're
have this,
so-
I don't know, I can't remember the term that's used right for it, but it's everything, like, meals is very, like, communal for them kind of thing.
It
So
is.
it's about the big
I
family.
never saw
it's
so
about,
many people
Yeah.
reunited in one house.
Yeah, it's really
Because in
beautiful.
Canada, it's very like independent. Like you don't really,
Yeah.
if you get together, it's just your friends like drinking or playing video or playing board games or something. But there is family, proper family with kids around. I'm like, dude, I feel like I'm back home.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful experience.
And they cook tilapia and they cook like many other like little things and like the salads and oh my god! And then they started the karaoke and not like
that's like the main
yeah,
thing.
that's the main thing.
There's
And
no
everybody's
Filipino party and they all sing really amazing.
They are.
Yeah.
They need to be an American Idol. Like they all sing so well. I was so impressed. I'm like, what are you guys doing here? Go sing and make a living out of it. Like this is great.
If you go to the mall in the Philippines, like they have like let's say a panafoto or something like that, their own version of it. They always have on the outside like a small TV and then a karaoke machine, and then people can just walk by and like sing and stuff. Or sometimes the workers themselves, like on their break, they just go and sing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, wow, you know, like,
Yeah, it's like-
why didn't I get that? So many years.
Do you
and
think it's genetics?
I think so, because I mean, it's not my. I know a lot of people who sing really, really well.
Yeah.
You know, from that. From
Like
the
obviously
Philippines.
there are people that don't have that talent, but I
Like
feel
me.
like they're like the 0.01% of the population
That's
that are
me.
like
But I'm Indian, so I didn't get that.
yeah.
You know.
The Filipino that I met, they would never lose their identity. They have such a strong culture. It's like their soul is Filipino.
Yeah.
And so-
There's a pride to it. You
Yes.
know. And so for most of my, I think even if you ask me today, like, do you feel more like you're Indian or you're Panamanian or I would say Filipino, because
Really?
yeah, I would say I feel even if they never accepted me to be Filipino, I still say that I do feel more Filipino than anything else, because while my nationality is Indian and my religion, I don't think religion is kind of like partnered with a certain nationality, right? So you can be Filipino and Hindu at the same time.
Yes.
I don't know anything about Indian history. I
Okay.
don't speak. I can understand Sindhi, like, you know, but I don't speak it. I like the food, but that's, I mean, who doesn't like Indian food? You know?
I mean, it's the best.
But with the Philippines, I like Indian music, but it's not something I would choose to put on. But I do enjoy. I do have a playlist of Filipino music.
Are you kidding me?
No, I do.
Wait, can you share?
Of course. It's more like rockish and stuff, but like I love.
no, that's fine.
I love
That's fine.
Filipino music.
Yeah.
I can relate to the lyrics and I can relate, you know, because I understand the language. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, and many times, like a friend of mine actually pointed it out to me and I never realized it. And so she was like, because whenever we would talk about the Philippines or the people or whatever, like any conversation we would have, I would never say you or they. I would always say we. Like when we, back in the days, and I would talk as though I'm part of the community. So, and I never noticed it because for me, it just flowed naturally. And she pointed out, and she's like, there are not that many people who are not Filipino per se, like in terms of looks or religion or whatever, like, but that
Would
say
include,
we.
would include themselves as
Yeah.
part of.
But that is the culture and the history and that's what I relate to and that's what I know. Like I went to India. The first time I went to India was in 2004. I was on the way to a wedding in Dubai, and we decided to do a stopover in India. We did Delhi, Agra, and Jaipur. And while it was beautiful and I loved it, I didn't feel a connection to the land. In fact, when we would have to enter Agra or something, or I don't remember if it was Agra, it was somewhere else that we had to pay an entrance fee. I was charged a foreigner's fee.
Agra. I was Agra.
And I was like, what the hell?
Same. Yo, my sisters and I went to see the Taj Mahal, and there's an entry fee that you have to pay.
Yeah.
And my dad's the only one who paid the local. And we passed, and they were like, okay, they were checking our passports because they looked at our face. The first thing they saw, you're not from here, you're not Indian. And then they saw my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, and they didn't even ask him for a passport.
What?
They were like, you can. It was like, dude, he looks more Indian than we are, and he's Spanish, he's Colonense. Like it's crazy, but yeah. We're not even considered Indian to like to
be Indian.
To be Indian, yeah. I have something very controversial that many Panamanian won't like. But because cricket wasn't like my dad's not a sports guy. He never followed any cricket or any sports. But my mom, she's like all for Brazil and football, right? And so when Brazil was playing, even if Panama, well back then Panama wasn't really in the radar or on the map to be any good team. So Brazil was like the main thing in our house, and we would all dress up in like t-shirts and so now when Panama is playing really well.
Oh yeah, they're playing amazing.
They're playing really well.
They're playing really well.
But my friends one day put me on the spot. We were like hanging out and they're like, so if Panama was like, when we go to the World Cup, who are you gonna support? And I was like, holy shit, my whole childhood I was rooting for Brazil.
Right.
And I immediately said Brazil. And then they made a face and I'm like, I kind of realized that I was like, because I was like,
yeah.
How do you say that? I was like culturally like rooting for Brazil ever since I was born.
Yeah.
I didn't even think twice to say Brazil.
Yeah.
And they're like, tú eres vende patria. And I'm like, but Panama wasn't even like a good team back then. I recently saw one of their games and I was like impressed. They've improved
a lot.
They're polished.
Yeah, they've improved a lot, definitely.
When did you start feeling that? Like,
I think it was always there, but like admitting to it and saying like, yeah, I am Filipino and I do feel that and I do feel the connection and it doesn't take away from me being Indian. I think we're so focused on placing ourselves in boxes. Like Indian, Filipino, Panamanian,
Yeah.
You can actually live between the boxes, in the space between.
Absolutely.
And I'm perfectly happy today, being able to say that I do relate to the Philippines, that I do have a special connection and a very special bond with the people and the culture and everything that's there. And I don't think it takes away from me being Indian as well.
Nice. Okay. Can I do a quick rating thing that I've been doing with my sisters? I don't think I've done it with any other guests.
Okay.
So from 1 to 10, how Indian or Cindy do you feel in your day-to-day?
In my day-to-day, maybe a 6.
And how Filipino do you feel?
An 8. Yeah.
How Panamanian do you feel? 1. Minus. Negative.
Not minus. There's some things. I mean, one of the things that when I came to Panama that made it so easy for me to kind of like, blend in and stuff like, or pick up on everything was how similar it is to the Philippine culture as well. Like there are areas for example, I love Casco. Casco Viejo is like my favorite area because it reminds me of an area in the Philippines called Intramuros. So when I came here, my friends used to make fun of me because I'd be like always in Manila, and I would always like compare.
Reference.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
but it was just like easier to accept Panama as my new home, by finding these
Little pieces of Philippine in here.
right. So even in the food or even, many things, like there were a lot of similarities and that brought comfort to me, so yeah.
I bet that moving here, newlywed, moving to Panama, having all that like Indian at home, Filipino Catholic outside your home, and then coming to Panama and having to like adapt. I imagine that was a trip.
I think there are people that have had it harder than me. Like I don't want to make it seem like I had it horribly or anything like that. I mean, it was challenging. One of the benefits I was on my side was first I have family here. I have a wonderful family here. My mom has 2 brothers here, and I have a cousin that lives here, and it just made it so much easier knowing, that I have, people to fall back on, people to guide me, that people that have, my well-being in their hearts.
So you never felt you didn't feel like alone coming here?
No,
for the
not
first
really,
time?
because and then also like we were really lucky. Like my group of friends, Hanit is part of a group of guys, and like all grew up together. I think in Colon, I think only one of them moved out to the city much later. So and we all kind of got married within a year, and that made it so easy because I had like a whole bunch of people coming from different parts of the world,
Wow.
new customs.
That is so crazy when you say that. Hearing it, 'cause we know that it's normal. You
Yeah.
know? We know that it's tradition that we do that
Right.
we change our names in marriage. But you saying that, like, we're all here, newlyweds, with new names, and it's like, that hits differently. That's
Yeah.
like, wow, I like,
It's like a whole 180 on your how do you say your identity.
yeah.
Like all your life you've been called one name. I always tell them like I'm so amazed and impressed by them that they were able to kind of like like pick up, like just kind of like go with it and be okay with it and stuff. And I think I would have had a meltdown myself,
Yeah.
but yeah, like that was a really big blessing. So from going from having practically no Indian friends. I mean, I did have some Indian friends, but I wasn't very, very much in like a group or anything like that. And then coming and having like an instant group where it was all Cindy's, and so it was like, wow, this is interesting.
Nice. Like this new, it's like a new world, like new
and not new as well, because at the same time, because they have, while they're Cindy and everything, like each one brought their own experiences and their own stories and like how do you say, like backgrounds and everything, and all of a sudden it opens up your eyes and you're like, maybe having, it's like there is this whole other world out there of people going through stuff as well, and maybe I'm not alone.
Yeah.
So what I thought back then, like growing up, that it was only me as an Indian that was being bullied or that was, being treated this way or, anything. All of a sudden, I'm hearing all these stories because, I don't know, maybe I was too close-minded. Maybe I was too afraid to open up to people.
Yeah, I think afraid is kind of a key word, at least for me as well.
Yeah.
Afraid of opening up and like, I don't know, I feel like afraid of being
vulnerable.
Yeah.
But
I'm glad that you had a group of friends that you guys could support each other. I think that's the main thing, and not isolate. Like you can open up to them.
Not only open up, but like when you talk about support and everything, it's like I'm a very how do you say? How's a nice way of saying it? You know,
That's a nice
a
word
way
to
of
describe
calling
myself.
me crazy.
I'm extra crazy.
Yeah.
People should be scared of me.
So I'm like very out there, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, we got to do this and we got to do that, and you know, very.
You know what? You didn't give off that.
No.
No. The very few times that I saw you, because
Oh,
we
but
never.
that was like in a camp, or right, or like some
I don't
something or
no.
something.
I've seen you in like events or so, but you didn't give off like extroverted
No?
extroverted energy. No.
Maybe it's the age; it just kind of like brings it down, tones it down a little
Oh,
bit.
come on. But I feel like now I see it because it's a different kind of extrovert. It's like it's not
Controlled extrovert.
Is it controlled?
I don't know. I
You're
hope
like,
so.
I feel like it's a more polished, classy.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Thank you.
But yeah, I don't feel like you're like maybe you do have like crazy ideas or you like different ideas, which is not crazy per se, but I don't feel like it's.
Oh no, and that was when you know I first moved in and everything. They would dare me to do like really stupid things, and I mean, but not stupid that it puts me in, you know, jeopardy of like anything. It was like just all fun and games.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I dare you to go up on the stage and like dance with whoever's there or whatever. Like, it's like silly things like
Yeah.
that. And I'm like, I'm doing it, and and Honey would be like, what the hell, man? Like,
You know what? I'm an introvert, and I've always been an introvert. But I feel like after living in Canada and coming back, I don't really take anything anything too seriously. Like if I look ridiculous to some people,
yeah,
I don't take that serious. For
right,
example,
same.
And so I feel freer. I feel like I'm a newcomer back home.
It's a change.
Yeah, and like I would go up into the stage and sing my heart out, even though I have zero singing skill, and like just like you know like dance
I mean,
alone.
life is short.
Yeah,
You
I know. Yeah, life
So
is
I mean,
so
if
short.
we're gonna be always like so worried about how we're gonna come off looking and
Yeah.
stuff, I mean, that's such a boring life to live.
It is, and so like to hear like, oh, it's a dare. I would gladly do that dare because it's not a dare. It's not. I'm not challenging anything. I'm just like
Yeah, it's all
living.
fun and games, you know, like
I'm like to a certain point, I'll just enjoy being a little goofy clown. You know.
yeah. So
and that's okay.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what that's what I always tell my friends. Like, you know, if you see me as I'm goofy, I'm like, that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, and they accepted me like how I am, and you know, however, you know, crazy things I come up with, and
I feel like there's like a structure to how you're supposed to be, at least in like any society.
I mean, of course, there is like when there were expectations, you know. So, for example, especially that first year or two, that you know when we came in, there were like these huge parties and or Diwali or some like get-togethers, and like when I was in Colon, it felt especially small. Well, it is small, but it felt smaller than what it is. Because you would just be meeting the same people constantly and stuff like that. And there were like a lot of social stuff, you know? And I wasn't used to that because I came from a big city that was everyone kind of doing their own thing and maybe would meet like once a month or something. Like it wasn't very formal.
Yeah.
I don't remember going to so many satsangs, growing up as much as I did those first few years. While there's a beauty to it, there was also a bit of stress. Like, am I dressed appropriately? Am I wearing enough jewelry? Things that I didn't have to think about before. So while it was fun, it also became, a little bit like, man, I have to go through this again, and I have to do this, and I have to go for my hair, and I have to go for my nails, and it just wasn't me.
Has it changed, or do you still feel like that sometimes?
No, it's definitely changed.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's definitely changed. I don't know about. It changed for me personally.
For you, yeah.
When I moved, to the city and started working and doing my own thing and stuff. Like now, everyone has their own thing going on,
and so now you don't feel like you have to watch out on not wearing too many
No,
pants
dude. I think
because that's not ladylike. Or
I went to Karuna's wedding and I think I had sneakers on. Like, you know?
really?
Yeah, yeah.
The-
And then I lifted it up. I'm like, check this out. You know?
Nice.
And they were like, how did you get? I'm like, you know, I don't care. You know? I mean, comfort first.
Yeah.
And it was really funny too. Like there was a wedding recently, and they had like in the bathrooms they had like slippers for people to change into. You know, if you know your feet are hurting and stuff. So I was done with my heels. I'm not even used to it anymore because I'm always in sneakers. I grab a pair of slippers and I put them on, and I go back outside and I show one of my friends. And I'm like, look, I got slippers, and she's like, you came in like that? And in a way that was kind of like I wouldn't be surprised if you
Yeah.
did. And I'm like, okay, sneakers is one thing. I wouldn't go to a wedding in chancletas. Like there are levels, man.
Not my Nikes. They're chancletas. Okay, difference.
So, but it's cool that they know that that I'm so relaxed
Yeah.
right now about those things. But yeah, of course, in the beginning, not only that, there was like let's say when everyone started getting pregnant and stuff like that, there was a pressure that I felt personally.
Yeah, because everybody starts getting pregnant like
You know-
around the same time, and so
Yeah.
and then they kind of like look at the next couple who does. Are they trying? Are you
Right.
trying?
Right.
When's,
So-
it's your turn now.
Exactly. So like every baby shower, every prayer, every get together, there would always be like, and they would do it with the best intentions.
Of course.
Like there was this aunt that would come like without fail every Thursday to my house and give me an apple for good luck. And I'm like, that's not how babies are made, but okay, I appreciate it. But even
intention.
if she meant it like as a blessing or as good vibes or whatever, it felt like added pressure.
Yeah.
And because I was going through issues, of being able to conceive, and I wasn't able to talk about it openly, like, with everyone and stuff. What was probably meant as support or blessings or something, it was harder for me to accept at that moment.
That makes sense.
So like yeah, like it was very, very tough. Very challenging.
Because it's not like you're not trying, but it's like, can you back off a little bit? Because we're like, this is a thing. And because in closed cultures, you don't really talk about this.
Yeah,
these
it
things.
was considered taboo.
Yeah.
I don't know if it still is.
I
hope
hope
not.
not.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
hope not. But for a good while, it really felt like there was something wrong with me. I didn't know anybody else, like because it was not something that was spoken about so openly. I didn't know anyone going through what I went through, whether it be the same thing or something similar. And although I have amazing friends who were there for me to listen to me vent and
Yeah.
everything, and they would tell me like, oh, I understand what you're going through. The truth is they really didn't.
Yeah.
So
If I sit here right now and I tell you I understand what you're going through, it's a lie. Because first of all, I'm not married. Second of all, I'm not even thinking maybe having kids. Maybe not. Like it's a maybe.
right.
But from what I've been hearing through TikTok, through friends that are also getting, pregnant and all that stuff, infertility is a thing.
Yeah.
Infertility is more common than what we think.
Yeah.
And if we don't have at least a general knowledge that it can happen or it's an option or it's something that happens, we won't know necessarily how to handle it. But also I feel like what I want to point out is the social cues. We won't be able to like kind of back off and give the couple a little bit of space. Like we don't
Yeah.
have to deliver blessed apples every day, or every week, like I feel like the social cues will be better and give these couples a breather and
Right.
more understanding and maybe like actual help instead of
Yeah.
adding pressure to
Yeah.
when are you going to have kids.
Yeah. No, it became, wow, it feels like a lifetime ago now, like talking about it, because my son's 12 and, he's like the biggest blessing. If it was something that was spoken about openly and not treated as not only taboo, but as like a disease or something that can be controlled or something that, that you pick up on the street or, street. It's not a cold, it's not a flu, it's not, it's sometimes you're just born with it, and that's the sad reality. But fortunately, we have ways to go around it now. So on top of the pressure, on top of the inability to, like the path to solving it, or not, or to getting a child at the end, is to be injecting yourself or taking hormones. So you have that added thing on you, where so every small thing is amplified in you, and then you don't understand like what's happening or why it's happening. And I mean, you do, but you don't, kind of thing, because you don't have control, over your emotions, over everything. So going through that was very difficult. Feeling like you have no one to speak to, because although Hanit was amazing, he was probably going through some stuff as well himself, like like trying to wrap his head around this. Like, it's kind of like, you don't mean to compare with your friends, or you don't mean to, but sometimes it was like, why is it so easy for them, and why is it so difficult for me, and like, so it was like so you get into this bitterness, and you get into these feelings of just loneliness, and you don't have anyone. And I didn't want to burden Hanit with additional my feelings as well, like on top of what he's going through.
And there's not like a support group of women that have gone through
not
that
that
is
I knew
accessible.
of, at least. Yeah, not that I knew of, at least. Fortunately, at the end, like, I went through like 3 rounds of insemination, even a double insemination, and nothing worked. And then I was done. Like, I didn't want to meet more doctors. I didn't want to do more tests. I went through so many things, so many things. I told my friends, like, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. And I'm okay with it. Maybe I'll adopt or something. I don't know. The more difficult part was my first job after college was I was a teacher at the little gym. I was a gymnastics teacher. I liked being around small kids and stuff. I think because I'm very childish at heart, so it's easy for me to connect, and I like to play and stuff like that. And so when my friends, like when their nieces or people in there, or when they had kids and stuff, and I was very good with their kids, and I would always get these comments like, "Oh, you're really good, like you're so good with kids. Why don't you do this and why?" So it's like, okay, if I'm so good with kids and I'm so amazing and everything, like, why can't I have my own?
Yeah.
So you get into like this spiral, of negativity, of this dark cloud over you, and it gets lonely. It gets lonely under that cloud, and the weight of the pressure and the expectations and everything that's on you.
I feel like it's to name it or to label it. I feel like that would be depression.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, although that's another taboo that we don't talk about, mental health, I wouldn't be surprised if I did go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist at that moment, if I was diagnosed as depressed, because it did feel like a huge weight was just on me, and I didn't know what to do about it.
Of course. I feel like women nowadays are opening up. Like I mentioned, in the internet, I'm getting a lot of information of what it is being a mom. And so I'm kind of being prepared mentally to when I decide to go through that stage in my life, if I ever. But conversation around infertility or trying for a baby and then having your baby, and then there's postpartum depression, and then there's all sorts of depression, like, and it's wow, and you don't have that still today. You don't have that support group available or in reach, or I don't know, support in general. It doesn't have to be like, and not easy or accessible. It's like, how did women back then do it?
That's a huge, that's a pretty loaded question. I don't know. I really don't know. Like, for example, from my mom, she came from a different country as well, moved into living with so many people and under one roof and stuff. And then and you want to raise your kids the best way you know how, and you don't really have that, like today we have internet and we have so many things at our disposal on what to do or ideas or whatever. They didn't have any of that. And so there are many things that I really appreciate, being a mom today. And it wasn't easy. I don't think it was easy for them, but it doesn't make it any easier
For you as well,
today,
yeah.
because there are new pressures,
doesn't get-
there are new things that your kids face and new problems and whatever, but I think you just, be the best that you can be, and having a solid group of friends that not only would be there for the good times and prop you up and say that you're amazing and stuff like that, but also come down on you when you're on the wrong. It's like I've been blessed, and I'll say it over and over again, about when it comes to my friends. I think even if it was difficult at the beginning, but throughout my years, I've picked up friends here and there that have just stayed on, and the ones that I have today, my best friends, if I'm wrong, and they'll tell me, and they've corrected me and helped me grow as a mom, because it does take a village. It does take a village to raise, whether it be 1, 2, 3 kids, you need that sense of community. You need that sense of family, like an extended family. It's not easy. Raising little people,
little humans.
yeah, little
with
humans,
a whole set of brain
and
organs,
kind of trying to guide them into being good, productive citizens of the world. I mean, I don't know how else to put
You
it.
sound like a mom.
I am a mom, and I'm proud of it.
But it's now you're going through raising your kid.
Yeah,
How does that
yeah.
feel?
Dude, it's like karma sometimes.
everything I did to my mom, I'm paying it.
Every time I complain to her about something, Tarun did this, and she's like, Pareena, do you remember? I'm like, don't talk about it.
I don't want to remember. I just want to complain about my kid.
I'm sorry, mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy being a mom, but it's the most amazing experience. Might not be for everyone, and that's cool. That's totally, that's you do you. I wouldn't recommend it for the faint of heart, because one of my friends, when I finally got pregnant, and then during my baby shower, they gave me a book, and then they had their messages and food of thought or stuff like that. So one of them told me that it's like having your heart walk outside of your body, or survive, outside of your body kind of thing,
Oh my God.
Yeah, and
Yes.
and I always tell her, that is so true. That is so true, because everything that happens to him, or whether it might be something that's so small, and in your head you're like, oh, he'll get over it or something,
Yeah.
but if it hurts him, it hurts you.
It hurts you, yeah.
That line of letting them experience that hurt or letting them experience that pain, and because they have to grow and it's hard. It's really hard,
I see it. I see the beauty. I see how beautiful it is. But then, but then, I think of myself, and I love my mom. I'm really close. I'm my mommy's girl.
Right.
And we're friends. We bully each other, tease each other. We love each other. We share a lot. But then I'm ew. Then I'll have a grown up 33-year-old living with me. Ugh, just move on already. Just I don't want. I see myself. I'm trying to be the best daughter, but sometimes I push my parents' limits, and I do it on purpose. And so having another human, grown up human, doing that to me, I'm I'm just gonna think twice, because it's I am having a little bit of fun teasing my parents. It's no, you can't tell me what to do, and I'm going to challenge everything that you believe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I do it for I don't do it with malice, but I do it for, sometimes they push my buttons. And so like I think about being a parent and having like a 33, that's forever. Being a parent is forever.
It is, yeah.
And I see my parents at this age still being parents, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. It's
But
too much.
I think it's like, I mean, if you're just looking, I mean, from what you're saying, the teasing and the poking and the whatever. But what about what the person, what your kid or future kid or whatever accomplishes? The pride, the happiness, the joy. I mean,
I haven't
whenever.
accomplished much. I'm not married. I don't have kids.
But it doesn't
I don't have a
mean that.
business.
Like, for example, like something like I don't know, Tarun at the beginning of the year wanted to play basketball. He had never played. He's not very athletic. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't come natural to him, you know. Like I was afraid. I was afraid that he would, you know, be behind other boys and it would be difficult for him. And I started getting PTSD of my bullying days and whatever, you know. And then he told me, he's like, Mom, like, you know, they've been playing like much longer than I have and everything. Can you, you know, put me in some classes or something? So I was like, yeah, don't worry, I got you, you know. And recently, he asked me to help him like get even better. So we were playing, and he was able to get by me like without me stealing the ball or whatever. And it's something so small, like it's dribbling the ball past your mom, you know, who's much older than you. But I was proud of how much he has grown in the sport, of how much, you know, and not only that, like the interest and the dedication and the work that he's putting in to become even better.
Yeah.
You know, that speaks volume of the person that he is or growing up to be. Because today it's about basketball, but tomorrow it'll be about something else, you know? So that is the flip side. Like, okay, yeah, like sometimes when you just need a break and you have this kid, mom, you know, like that's not fun, you know, but then the flip side is that you have someone that needs you,
Yeah.
you know, that will always need you. I still need my mom, you know, and like, I know that I just have to call and for whatever problem I have or whatever thing I'm facing, you know, it could be the stupidest thing or the most, you know, silliest thing, and she will always pick up. She would never. Well, it depends on the time zone.
Yeah.
For
It
time
depends
difference.
if her phone is always in
But
silence. Yo, my mom's phone is always in silence.
No, my mom is a really light sleeper. So I think there was one time I was so excited about something that Tarun did, and I wanted to share with her. And then like I started like ping 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 ping, I started sending her, and she's like, and then she calls me and she's all like, you know, like sleepy and stuff. Like she's like, do you realize what time it is? You know, I'm like, but Tarun did this, and she's like, okay, we'll talk in the morning. But cool, good job. You know?
My sisters and I, at least your mom picks up, even though she's sleeping. My sisters and I already came into like a decision that we cannot put my mom as an emergency contact because she will not pick up. She has her phone always on silence, and when she has her phone on her hand, she will not check her messages. Like she's doing everything else on her phone, but
But reading your messages?
Yeah, but reading the messages that are important. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess. I feel like now as an adult, I admire my mom so much more. When growing up, of course, you go into this dip and you're like, what are you doing, lady? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I went through a moment where I was like questioning everything.
Right.
Why am I being parented that way?
Right.
But now as an adult looking back and everything that she had or they both had to go through,
Yeah.
their marriage was a taboo as well. And so adapting to a new culture, country, language, religion,
Identity.
it was so hard. And so I don't look back at it with remorse or like why I hate being here or I hate being Indian. I question it now because there's still, you know, there's still that mold being implemented in other young ladies. And so and also when I think of being a mom, I know that in some ways you're gonna traumatize your kid
Oh,
in
yeah, definitely.
some stage and for some things I know that's gonna happen. I don't want to be the person that they have to talk with her psychologist about, you know what I mean? That adds more pressure. To me personally, to me
Right.
as me thinking of like being a mom, even though, you know, my mom meant the best and she
Yeah.
did, and
Yeah.
I feel it and I'm grateful for her. I just don't want, I don't want that pressure for myself.
But that your kid has the courage to go get a psychiatrist or to go get a psychologist or to understand that he or she needs help, that's already a positive step that you've allowed happen. That wasn't allowed back then,
Wow.
right? So like I said, every generation brings something new.
Yeah.
And something, it'll never be perfect. There'll always be, we will always mess our kids up somehow, you know? But as long as they know one, they can come to us. That's the one thing I always tell Tarun. I don't care if the world is falling apart or you feel the world is falling apart and that you
Wow.
would get the biggest scolding in the world. You probably will.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, but there's no one else in the world that's going to be there for you no matter what, like a
Yeah.
parent.
Wow.
You know, so, and it's true for my parents, you know, like I can call them for anything and they will hear me out. Maybe they won't give the best advice, or maybe I will disagree with what they have to say, or maybe they will give the best advice. I don't know, like, you know, that depends on the situation. But knowing that they're always going to be there, like, you know, for me and everything, or their teachings are always going to be there, it's something that I fall back on a lot.
That's true.
That brings a sense of comfort.
At one point, I don't remember, it was many years ago, my mom kind of opened up a little bit and she shared that she was too busy when we were growing up, and she was kind of apologizing for not being completely there as a mom, because she was like handling the business with my dad and like doing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And at that point I was in therapy, and I was already in the process of understanding why things affected me as an adult the way that they were affecting me, but understanding where they come from in a very in like a positive way. And so at that moment I understood how important it is to put yourself in your parents' shoe and understand all their background and what they were going through.
Yeah.
To be able to sit there, I sat there with my mom and I'm like, Mom, you went through a lot of shit.
Yeah.
If I were you, I think, I don't know how I would have handled,
No,
but you did.
they're very strong.
And I told her, you did the very best that you could with everything that you had. You, back then there was no knowledge of like emotional control or like,
Right.
you know, all these
Yeah.
topics that we talk about psychology nowadays. But I told her, I'm like, you need to not feel guilty, because we all appreciate you for what you've done, and my dad as well.
Yeah.
And you guys did the best that you could. Now I'm trying to fix myself to like understand more of your point of side, but you did great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I love you, and I don't resent
That's
you
awesome.
for anything.
And I like, first of all, I think if everyone went to therapy, the world would be a better place. You know?
Right?
And second, I think that's really beautiful and amazing that you did tell her that, because being a mom, I think, is one of the jobs, you know, that you get least recognition for, or something. Like sometimes, like, it's just, oh, you're a mom, you're supposed to do that, or something. But it would be nice to be acknowledged, you know. I mean, not just once a year, like when Mother's Day rolls in and you get your electrodomestic or whatever gift. I don't get that, but I know that's the
No,
thing
yeah,
here.
that's the thing. It is.
You know? But to hear your child, you know, appreciate what you do, and I understand your mom's, you know, feeling of guilty, because many times I do feel guilty because I can't be there. I'm a working mom, so I can't be there for every game. I can't be there for every outing, or you know, if there's an activity in school or whatever, like leave my job and go there. Like I have to weigh, you know, each situation. Okay, is it big enough that I, you know, for me to leave, or is there a way for me to balance both?
Yeah.
And it's not been easy. Like many times, Tarun has come to me and told me like, but all the other moms are there, or all, and I get it. I get it. Like you want your mom to be there. Especially if you see all the other, parents there for your friends. And I have to explain to him over and over again. And I'm pretty sure this is something that if he ever needs therapy, that he would bring up. It is the reality. And so I just have to reassure him in other ways. So like if it's the weekend, or if it's, so we have like we do these little traditions that are just us, like just like that we keep. So for me, that's my way of making it up, not making it up to him, but letting him understand that even if I wasn't there for this, but we have this.
Yeah.
And this is something that will continue. And if I hope it gives him that comfort to know that no matter, even if I'm not there physically or something, that he has my support, and that I will always be there for him in some way or the other.
How do you find time and space for you?
Oh man, you have to like really mentally make it, like really think about it, and like this is for me.
Do something on purpose,
intentionally, yeah, like intentionally. And then when the kids were much younger, we had this package with Royal. It was called a Royal card or something. So there was like all the Westins in
Okay.
Panama, and then we would get like a couple of nights free in Westin of Playa Bonita. So we would take the kids there and everything, and all my friends knew that I would disappear for like an hour or so, like in between, because I would go and use the tub. That was like,
That's your you time.
that was my me time. Like literally I would just put music on. I was working with Lush at that moment, so I would get like these bath bombs and stuff. I would go to Lush and pick what I wanted,
Yeah.
and then I would go back and put on my music, drop the bath bomb, and like for an hour, like I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to see anyone. It's just me. It has to be intentional spaces that you create.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I started learning maybe 4 years ago. And I say 4 years ago specifically because that's when I started going to therapy. And in that process, I was migrating to Canada. So I was an immigrant, I was trying to look for a job, I had the pressure of being the eldest and not being with my parents because it's culturally you're supposed to like be close to your parents or
Right.
living with your parents or taking care of their business or that type of pressure. And so I had so much going on, and I did wanted to pursue like be independent, live in a different country. I like Canada. I love Canada. So I was in that process of like paperwork, and that was so stressful. And then like figuring out like if I want to marry or not, and that pressure. Or my sister was engaged, and all that like was like such. It carried so much weight in my shoulders. And when I started therapy, one of the things that my therapist did was like, okay, let's do the wheel of life. And I'm like, what is that? She grabbed the paper and she divided this wheel in different parts of your life.
Okay.
And so it's like, okay, and you have to rate from 1 to 10, and she'll color it. How do you feel your work life, your home, your space for you, your activities or exercising and all that stuff. So there are many divisions. And so my circle was like all like volatile, like very spiky. Like work was okay, and then friendship was like down, and then like like it was very spiky, and the whole point is to like kind of balance this
Right.
circle so it's a bit smoother. And one thing that always till today, and I'm not a mom, today affects me is how do I make space and time for myself? Because I feel like that's maybe something everybody needs to apply in their life. To like, we're all so carried on what to do in society, in our culture, in our family, in our home, for our kids, for our parents, with our pets. with our friends, and then when do we get time
Yeah.
to
No,
decompress on our own for ourselves?
that is super important. And I think I realized the importance of it when I started getting migraine attacks, and that's when I was like, okay, I gotta take care of me too. Like I was always like very careful of what I ate, of being active, of like because I didn't want to have a life where I'm like taking 15, 20 pills a day or something like that, or having issues later, as I'm older or something. So like I was very particular about that before. When I was in college, I would have what I called Pareena days, and like I would bunk my classes for the day. I would go to the library or like go to a cafe and get a book or something, or go watch a movie by myself, or have lunch with myself, like, which is not, like, man is a social being, so sometimes it's a little bit weird when you tell a person like, oh, I'm gonna go eat lunch by myself.
It's such an alien concept here,
Yeah.
especially here in Panama. I used to do that all the time in Canada. I just go to a restaurant, sit by myself, and like enjoy a nice meal with myself.
Right.
And over here, it's like, ooh,
Yeah.
ooh.
Yeah, it's
Why are you by yourself? It's like they feel pity for you. They people who see you, random people who see you. They're like,
oh, she doesn't have
"Aw."
friends.
Yeah.
She's a
Yeah.
loner.
Sad.
But like I did it more often before, and then kind of like, yeah, when you're thrust into like a more social environment where it is done everything as a group and everything is, so then it becomes weird to take time for yourself, and do things on your own. And that's why I tell you that it has to be intentional. It has to be, and the amazing thing of, again, going back to having a great group of friends is that you can tell them and they would understand. And I would tell them like, dude, I know you need my help, and I know, or whatever, or like you need me to be here, but I can't, I can't make it. I'm sorry, like, or I need a day to myself, or I need space, I need time. And they get it, and they give you that, and when they need it, I give it to them, and it's, it's a vice versa thing. And so if I fall short of something and I can't make it to, let's say, to something of the ruins or whatever, like, and I know it's important, I know I have people that, would go, and if I need something for myself, like, they would support me in that. Or even Hanit has been really amazing. Like, so he knows my tub time is sacred,
Yeah.
and he'll take care of things and make sure that there's food on the table, or that Tarun's taken care of, or whatever.
I love that.
Yeah.
Partnership.
Yeah, he's amazing,
Yeah.
So in everything I've done, and my vision, and my whatever I like, if I told him like this, I think this is gonna work out, he'd be like, dale, like, I'm here, I'm there, like,
That's a true ride or die.
yeah, he is mine.
That's really nice to hear. That's something that I am visualizing to get, because it's like,
I think it's just a matter of, I mean, no relationship, is perfect. Marriage or not marriage, friendship, lover, whatever it is, parents, whatever. But it's being open to accepting the person as they are, and faults or no faults.
yeah, I don't accept. I'm learning to accept a few things.
Okay.
I tolerate most of all. Because it's like some things I just can't accept. Like, you
Right.
gotta be honest. I was in a really long relationship, and there's some things that I was not.
Okay
I'm not
with?
willing to. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I'm not okay with.
Then maybe that person wasn't. If you're not able to be okay with it,
Yeah,
then maybe that person wasn't for you.
yeah, maybe. I had to learn how to tolerate, and even tolerating was not enough to, like, like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I feel like when you are able to accept, I feel like it's something that was meant for you. It's a person that, not maybe at that moment you have to tolerate, but along with
Yeah, you-
years,
like-
with time, it tones down, or you guys come to like a middle point where,
Or it's something that I mean, like I said, it's not always, sunshine and rainbows and whatever. Like, we've had, tiffs and everything, like every healthy couple, I think, I can't imagine a life without him. So it's like, do you let it go and sort of say, hey, I'm done with it? Which is, I think, a lot of people are so easy to do that these days, you know, like, oh yeah, it just doesn't work out, and we just walk away, you know. Okay, I think of, like, let's say I'm like really pissed off and like something really big happens and everything, but I'm like, I can't see my life without him. I can't, you know, not be with him. So it's like,
Of course, yeah.
so yeah, so I accept it, you know, maybe it's something we can work on, you know, if, whenever we're in the right headspace to talk about it or something. And maybe we grow from it, maybe we don't. But tolerate is one thing, but I think at the end of the day, you do have to come to a level of acceptance.
I want to talk about your minions because I think you've mentioned them.
Yes,
and
my minions.
the things that you do. I mean, the video that you sent me of the little bridge that you guys built. I think that's really important to highlight, and I want you to talk about them.
So
what do you do with who are the minions? What do you do with those minions?
They're my people. No. So my minions are the 13 kids in our group, my friends' circle and their kids. It started, I would say, a little after pandemia. I went up to my friends and I told them, hey, I've always done a lot of like charity and stuff like that when I was growing up. My school was very much into it and I loved it. It's one of the highlights of my life. And at that moment also I was going through kind of like a dip personally, you know, and I was kind of looking for purpose and meaning in my own life. And I told them that I have this idea that, you know, like, let's get the kids together and let's do charity works. Like, we can do it once a month or however you guys see fit. We put like a budget per month, and then, you know, we see where it goes. I didn't think that it was anything that would, you know, be still going on for 4 or 5 years now. I also saw it as like, okay, not only are we you know, being of service to the community, but also kind of opening their eyes to like popping that bubble, because they're so comfortable in their own bubble, like in their reality, like everything is, you know, there for them. They have light, they have water, they have food, a roof over their heads, and there are people who don't, you know. So kind of just opening their eyes a little bit to the reality of the world. So it started as that we would cook meals, and then we would get in touch with certain foundations or comedores in Panama, and then we would take the food to them, and then they would distribute to the area or whoever they would distribute to. So we started doing other activities where we did a sports day where we invited some kids from, I think, Cunanega. So the bridge idea came when as one of our minions activities in March, we went to Pacora. The last 2 years we've been working a lot with Fundación Senderos. Mm-hmm. So they have a lot of comedores around Panama City, and they feed, let's say in Curundu they have one, they have one for kids, and they feed about 80 kids there. Nice. Daily, breakfast and lunch. Wow. And then they have one in Cunanega. They have, the new one that just opened is in Pacora. So we decided to go there and to give them backpacks, like for school, start of the school year for them, and to cook them a meal as well. The bridge that we had to cross to get to the other side where the comedor was literally like a little path, and it was kind of like dipping all the way down and then coming back up. And it was like the support were like, I don't know, I don't know who made that bridge. You know, it was like really bad. Yeah. I have this idea of doing a walkathon and, you know, raising funds, and the funds would go to this bridge, and what do you think? Without hesitation, without nothing. It was like, I think we pulled it off in 5 weeks. Mm-hmm. And when I told Hanit about it, I have this idea of doing, he's like, Pareena, do you know that when people plan these things, it's like 6 months from, you know? And
not really, not really.
Oh, I don't know, but like that's what he told me, because like he gets all these sponsorship letters for Do It Center and stuff. Yeah, yeah. So he's like, they do it with a lot of time.
Okay, yeah, and, for sponsorship, yeah, it makes sense.
So I was like, and I told him, and I'm like, yeah, we have 5 weeks. It is what it is, you know. And he's like, okay. And he starts calling all his contacts and whatever to get me sponsors. And then like everyone just came together, and it was so beautiful. Like, and I was just like passing the message, and the person would pass it to someone else, and you know, like it just, I really don't know how like how we reached that day, we reached at 4 in the morning. Hanit was struggling with a tent to like set it up and stuff. And then Tarun was like helping him, and like they were reading the instructions. It was like really dark. There was no lights, you know. And we were like, oh my God, it's like this time already. And it's like people are coming and we don't have anything. But somehow it just all came together. And then we even raised more than what was needed for the bridge. So we were able to do more things, like help them with their electrical problems and install a water pump and everything.
Yeah, I mean, so far, this conversation has been like better than what I expected, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like we touch a lot of very important, very good topics.
I think so, yeah.